What's up, divas and divos? It's your girl, April, and it is time for Real Talk Wednesday. So, as usual, if you have a life episode or need advice or situation, you can always email me at MuffinIsMyLovers2012 and make sure to put in the subject line Real Talk, so that way I make sure to get back to you in a timely manner. So this topic for this Wednesday is a great one. I can totally relate to this situation as I'm going through it right now. So stay tuned for the episode. Alright, y'all, so it's Real Talk Wednesday. Every Wednesday there's a new episode on Real Talk. Just send in your email inquiries about whatever situation or advice you may need, and we all here on the YouTube family will help you. So, as for myself, I wasn't really going to do a Real Talk this Wednesday because I was going to take a break just for like a week, but I got an email. And I said, you know what, this is a really good topic because I'm going through the same situation. And it has to do with our children. So, Real Talk Diva. We're going to name this young lady Kim. Hi, I follow you on YouTube and I really enjoy your videos. They are very informative and fun to watch. I am in need of a little advice. So I have a 21-year-old son and my husband is ready for him to move out of the house. He is in school and working part-time. We really haven't had any real problems out of him except being lazy and irresponsible at times, which we all know young people can be sometimes. I personally don't feel he is ready to leave on his own by the things I see him do. My husband, on the other hand, is ready to put him out because he wants him to be self-sufficient, because he was very responsible himself at the age of 21. And also my husband wants his privacy back. So my question is, do you think that it is right? Is it the right thing to do to make him live on his own, even though I think he is not ready? I must say his laziness and irresponsibility does get on my nerves. But if he is not ready to live on his own, he will end up right back living with us anyway. I'm torn. He is my only child, and I don't want him to think we are just pushing him out. My husband is very serious about him living on his own. So what would you think is the right thing to do? Thank you for having this platform because you don't always want to involve family or friends in your personal business. So I'd like to hear what advice other people may have. Thank you. Now, first of all, I don't even know why Coco, my dog, is barking like that. So, Tati told me shut up. So, Kim, he is 21 years old. He is your only son, and you don't think it's time for him to move out, but your husband does think that. Let me tell y'all, okay, about this situation. Now, this is just my personal feelings, and I'm going to tell you what I'm going through, okay? I have 5 kids, okay, 5. And all 5 of them now live with me in my house. Before it was just us 4. My son, who is 22 years old, lived in Schenectady, New York. I moved to Arizona. He was there with his family, meaning his girlfriend and their son, who's almost 2. His girlfriend, himself, and his son came here to live with me in October of this year, at the end of October, until they were able to get on their feet and find their own place to live. Now, it is now December 10th, and it is time to move on. Now, I was always one to say, you know what, my kids can stay with me for as long as they want. But let me tell you something. Regardless if they have children of their own, you want them to be self-sufficient. If you keep hindering them from doing what they need to do, they're never going to get it right, okay? My son and his girlfriend, I had to have a long dispute yesterday with them because it's time to move out. You know what I mean? I love you guys dearly, but your habits, your laziness, and your irresponsibility don't sit well with me in my household. And like, I really cannot take it much longer. You know, they have their child who is up late at night, and I'll go to bed at a decent hour. So what you do here, you don't need to do here. Or if you're going to decide to do that in your own dwelling, in your own home. We always think that our kids may not be ready. Some of them show a lack of responsibility. Some of them show a whole lot of laziness. However, when they get in the real world, they're going to have to figure it out. It is no time better but right now to let him go ahead and learn on his own. If you don't want him to be on his own, like totally by himself, then maybe you should talk to him about getting himself a roommate, since he does go to school and he works part-time. But your husband is right. He needs to be self-sufficient. He is a grown man. He is 21 years old. And it's time to stop leaning on mommy and daddy for support all the time. True indeed, we always want to be there for our kids. But let me tell y'all, it starts to be a headache after a while. I don't like cleaning up after anybody else but myself or my younger kids, and even they clean up after themselves. I like my privacy just as well. Though I won't have as much privacy as you will, Kim, because you only have one. I will still have 4 living with me here. But it's nice to have them adults out of your home. They have to learn to be responsible on their own. You know, the real world, this is the real world. You may not feel like he's ready now, but once he gets out there into the real world, he's going to have to make a decision whether he wants them Jordans or he want to pay his rent. Or do he want to go out to eat, or do he want to watch cable or have his electricity paid? He's going to have to learn that the hard way. He's going to have to learn to save and budget his money. And he's going to have to learn to be at a grown-up level, responsible. It takes time for some teenagers, and it seems like some boys, to learn. Like my son is 22 years old. There is really no need for him to be living here with me and his girlfriend and their kid. True indeed, they did come from another state, but it is now December. And it is time for y'all to get out of my home. So they are right now putting their application in for their apartment that they're about to move into, which I am very happy about. I will miss them, but I will not miss the ruckus and the noise and the aggravation and the disrupt of my home, as well as the mess in my home. So no, I don't think that your husband is incorrect. You need to let him go. He is your only kid, and I used to feel the same way about my son. He's not my only, but he is my first. And I always felt like, you know what, I'm going to be there regardless for him, and he's going to stay with me until however he wants, as long as he wants. But I no longer feel that way because I see what type of person he is. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but I see the type of person he is, meaning he has his own family. He's grown. And he has a job, okay? He works full-time, and he and his girlfriend can make it on their own. Of course, they're not going to live the perfect lavish life, but they're going to have to learn to deal with it and make sacrifices. And if they need my help, then I'm here. But my first help is kicking them out the door, okay, and letting them succeed on their own. Just like I had to have a talk with them yesterday and let them know, you guys have a certain amount of time to move out of my home. I love you. Don't feel like I'm coming at you, but I've had enough, and it's time for you guys to go on your way. I said, I may seem like I'm coming at you sometimes, but however, it's not that. I want you guys to succeed in life. I want you to do something with yourselves and be somewhere. You can't keep living with your mommy and your daddy for the rest of your life until you feel like it's time for you to get ready and move out. Because if that's the case, they're going to live with you until as long as they can. They're not going to feel the need to go ahead and hurry up and get out of your home. So Kim, it's time to let him spread his wings and fly off into his own world and venture out. This is going to make him more responsible and more self-sufficient. This is going to make him into the man that he needs to be. He's already taken a step by going to school and working part-time. So let him go ahead and make that step on his own and get an apartment. And like I said, if he can't afford it on his own, or you feel like he's really not ready to be out there alone on his own in an apartment dwelling all by himself, then I would suggest that he finds one of his friends, his schoolmates that live nearby, or what have you, to split the rent and the bills with. But it is, your husband is right. Privacy is a must, okay? When they get a certain age, 21, you don't need them in your business. Your husband want to walk around in his underwear, his boxers. You guys want to make love and make all the noise you want. You don't want to be, you don't want to stop. You don't want to feel restricted because you got some other grown-ass man in the next room living next door to you. That's not a cool feeling. And I can totally understand and relate to how your husband feels, you know. When they kids, it's all good and dandy. They little kids. But now he's a grown-ass man. So it is time for him to go ahead and get his own. Maybe he have a girlfriend that he want to spend time with. And it's really not cool to be in your mama house at 21, still at home, living with your mama and your daddy, and you got a girlfriend. It's time for your son, Kim, to get out and move out on his own. Some people may feel like, okay, well, that might be harsh because they're trying to go to school. But you know what? You're going to keep hindering your kids. How long are you going to keep hindering them? You're going to keep hindering them for how long? They ain't never going to grow up. They ain't never going to move on. What you feel he may not be ready for, because what you see, he is a totally different person outside of your home, Kim. And I don't mean no disrespect and no harm, but what I see how my kids act around me is not how they act around their friends and their peers. That's not how they act. They are one person inside your home, and when they leave those doors and they're away from you, they are totally different people. Okay, because they are in their own environment, they're in their own world, and they are relating to their own friends, and you know what I'm saying, peers. So they're not the same. So what you feel about him as being irresponsible and lazy, it's not how he feels about himself. He can't be that irresponsible and that lazy if he's got a job and he goes to school. So he's not that irresponsible and he's not that lazy. He needs to take the third step and find his own place to live and get out of y'all hair. So yes, I truly am in agreement with your husband. I wouldn't say push him out, but what you need to do is you need to sit down with your son and let him know you have 30 days to 60 days to find a place of your own to move into. We will help you with the furnishings of your apartment or your place. If you cannot afford it on your own, we suggest that you go ahead and put an ad in the paper. I wouldn't really say ad, but maybe like something on campus of someone who wants to share the rent with him and so forth. But you need to give him that motivation to move out and be an individual who can succeed on his own. Like with my son right now, I love him to death. I love my grandson, but let me tell you something. I'm 40 years old. I don't need 5 kids and a grandson in my house. Now I have my 5 kids plus his girlfriend, which really is like my daughter-in-law. So that's 6 plus my grandson. That's 7. And then I'm having another grandchild in January, okay, for my daughter who is 18. So she'll be here. I don't really want to hear all these crying babies around me. I don't mind a newborn baby, but I don't really want to hear the screaming, and I don't want to pick up the toys, and I don't want to clean up after somebody else's baby. That's not what I want to do. And as a grandmother, some people may feel like, oh, I'm being harsh because that's my grandchild. However, it is not my child, okay? I'm not the one to raise him. And I don't feel like at the age that I'm at that I need to hear all of this noise and arguments between my son and his girlfriend. I don't feel like I need to hear that. So what I find is best is for them to move out. And, you know, I gave them their space and I gave them their time. However, sometimes when you don't say anything, nothing gets achieved. If you just sit back and let them work things out on their own, they will sit around you for as long as they can until they're ready to leave. And that's not how April does it. It's time for you to go. You know what I mean? It's really time for you to go. And nothing against my son or any of my kids, but time and time they will have to grow. Over time they're going to have to grow up, and they're going to have to go out and venture into the world and be real women and be real men and get real jobs and pay real bills. You know what I mean? I moved out of my mother's house when I was 19 years old, and I've never moved back. I had one child at the time. I moved all the way to another state, and I wasn't like, I might not have been ready, but you know something? I succeeded on my own, and I was able to handle my business and take care of things and take care of me and my son. So, you know, my mother was not ready for me to go, of course, as well, but I had to prove her wrong. You know, sometimes we clashed at the things that we do. She didn't approve of how I went about doing things, and I really didn't approve about how she went doing things. So it was time for me to leave, and I never went back. So 19 might be a little bit too early for some people, but you have to stop and think. I had my own child, and I think that it was right for me to move into my own dwelling and take care of my own child and not aggravate my mother with crying and messiness. You know, if I want to be lazy, I'm going to be lazy in my own place. If I want to be irresponsible, then I'm going to do that on my own. But trust me, Kim, when I tell you, you may feel like he's not ready and you may feel like he's irresponsible, but he's already taken steps to prove that he's not irresponsible by continuing his education and going to school. He's 21 years old. It's time for him to be a man and grow up and learn to live his life, okay? As long as you keep hindering him, he's not going to have all those responsibilities. So now it's time to let him go and spread his wings and let him feel what it feels like to be out in the real world on your own. This is just a new chapter in his life, a new beginning. And from here on, if he struggles, let him know that you and your husband will be there for him. So if he needs anything, to let him know. You'll help him with the furnishings. He doesn't have to have everything brand new. You can always look on Craigslist and thrift stores and get him items for furnishings and things like that. You know what I mean? But let him know that if he is in need of something, that you and your husband will help him out to the best of your ability, but not to take advantage of it. Because I've had those situations where I've helped out my son while he was in New York because I felt bad that I left to come here and he had his kid. However, he was grown, and his kid is not my responsibility. I have 4 other kids that need to be taken care of and need a better life. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave the state of New York and, you know, go on my way. However, my son did need help, and you know what? Western Union was the best thing in the world for me because I always sent him money whenever he needed it. I made sure that he had somewhere to live. Him and his girlfriend lived at her mother's house. But of course, they got tired of it too because of the noise and the lack of responsibilities. And now I feel what they have felt, okay, from them being here. I love them here, and I'm not going to say I'm going to miss them when they move to their own apartment. probably like 4 or 5 miles away from here, but it's in the vicinity of everything. There's probably like 6 plazas around where they'll be able to do everything that they need, you know what I mean? They won't need to worry about getting around. I'll help them get a car when I get a job, but my son has a job, but I do feel like, okay, it's a burden on me somewhat because I want to help everybody, but sometimes you got to help them by letting them go and they learn to help themselves, okay? As long as you keep being there and doing everything for them, they're not going to grow up and they're not going to be self-sufficient and they're not going to be independent and they're not going to do it on their own. So my advice to you, Diva, is to let your son go ahead and experience a taste of the real world. And if he really needs to come back, then I guess, you give him a time frame of how long he can stay in your home until he goes back out again and gets an apartment. But you never know. He may not come back. Help him find someone to share the burden, or not the burden, but sometimes bills are a burden. But help him find someone to share the bills and things with, so that way he don't have to bring his ass back no time soon. But if he does end up coming back, you let him know, well, you know what, son? You can come back, but you can only be here for 2 to 3 months, and then you got to find your place again and get on your feet. You're grown up. You're grown up. It's time for them to grow up and go into the real world. So, on that note, Diva and Divos, let Kim know what you think, what your personal advice. Because I know I ain't the only one out there with no kids that's into the age of 22 that still live at home, okay? That is about to get his own apartment. So, yay for that. I am so excited for them and happy. Arrivederci, au revoir, adios, amigos, whatever. See you later, alligator, all of that shit. I will see them around. I'll go over there and get my grandson and all that good shit. Good stuff, excuse me. But yes, I am ready for them to move out. I was ready for them to move out like a week or 2 after they got here, okay? Yes, I said that, y'all. I did. I said that. You know what I mean? I said that. But I love my son to death, but you know what? I want him to succeed in life, and I want him to do good on his own. So it is time for him to go and move out on his own. Yeah. So on that note, stay Diva and Divalicious. All the information for my email address will be posted for you guys below. And have a great, happy holiday, and I will see you all soon. I'm about to go do this other video.